When I first arrived in Australia from a tropical country with my dark skin, I thought I understood sunshine. You feel warm. You might squint if it's too bright, but the sun doesn't feel like a serious risk. Then I lived through my first Australian summer. I was conducting experiments at North Wollongong Beach, and I tested my own theory. I didn't put on sunscreen, and I don't recommend that. I felt fine until the next day, when I had peeling skin and a burning sensation. I learned the hard way. That's what makes UV so deceptive. You can feel heat. You can feel the humidity, but you don't feel ultraviolet radiation the way you feel temperature. And that misunderstanding has a cost. Skin cancers are among the most commonly diagnosed cancers worldwide, taking nearly 60,000 lives every year. Here in Australia, 2 in 3 people will be diagnosed with skin cancer in their lifetime. Around 2,000 Australians die from skin cancer each year. So today, I want to share one simple idea that changed how I see sun protection. UV protection is not about how strong the sunscreen is. It's about how much UV you accumulate over time. Most of us treat SPF like a one and done solution. You see number on a label, you apply sunscreen, and you assume that number is a reliable promise. Almost like, I've done the right thing, so I'm covered. But here's the problem. The sun is not a laboratory lamp. Sunscreen labels are based on standardized indoor tests, rigorous, scientific, and reproducible. But they are designed for consistency, not to recreate every kind of Australian day. Real sunlight changes minute by minute. Clouds move, sun angle shifts, reflections from water or sand boosts exposure. And across every region in Australia, UV can reach extreme levels over summer. Yet, we don't test our sunscreens for these extreme UV levels. We use ISO methods, originally developed for Europe, referenced in our national standard for sunscreen evaluation, which is essential for consistency. But it also means the label is not automatically a guarantee of identical performance across very different UV environments. Also, when SPF is determined in standard testing, sunscreens are applied at a much thicker application rate than in real life. For example, this sunscreen is labeled SPF 15, but that number is only true if we are applying it like that. In real life, we apply far less. Same label, same product, but the protection drops to about SPF 5. So when we ask, does this sunscreen protect me? We are asking the wrong question. A better question is, over the whole time I'm outside, how much UV is actually reaching my skin? Because skin damage is driven by total exposure, not just a single moment. That's why it is recommended to reapply every 2 hours. Now, let's have a look at the UV index. Think of it like the speed of a car. If the UV index is high, UV is hitting your skin faster, like driving faster. But to understand the real impact, you also need time. Biological impact of UV multiplied by time gives you UV dose, your accumulated exposure. And dose scales. What does that mean? An hour outside, when the UV index is 5, is roughly the same UV dose as half an hour when it's 10. This is the shift I want you to remember. Protection is not just a number. Protection is performance over time under real sunlight. So at the University of Wollongong, instead of treating the sun like a constant source, we measured UV continuously and calculated dose, because dose is what our skin experiences. And this graph shows data for one of the most popular sunscreens at realistic application rate under 2 different UV conditions, tested right here in North Wollongong. On UVI 6 day, you will be safe if you reapply every 2 hours. But that's not the case when it's UV at 12. Everything we have seen so far tells us that Australia is one of the harshest UV environments on Earth. We are in the best position to lead in what realistic, evidence-based protection looks like. So we started asking, what if we could create a sunscreen and test it at realistic application rate under Australian UV conditions? So for my PhD, I focused on developing advanced nano UV filters. Many sunscreens use titanium dioxide nanoparticles. They are excellent UV absorbers. But under UV, some forms can generate reactive oxygen species, ROS. These are highly reactive chemical species you don't want come into contact with your skin. Industry often manages this by completely coating the nanoparticles. But heavier coatings can come with trade-offs in feel and appearance, sometimes leaving a visible white cast, especially on darker skin tones. Now I agree this may be a great look for Halloween, not so much for everyday sun safety. Our approach is to deliberately design the particle surface, targeting the sites where harmful reactions tend to start, so we can maintain the strong UV protection while suppressing the unwanted reactivity. Now, we are exploring tools to make those visible in daily life. Recording your skin type, real-time UV conditions, time spent outdoors, and timely reapplication. Transforming sunscreen from a static product to a dynamic system. Our guiding principle is simple. Design and evaluate protection around those. When you build for extreme UV and real behavior, you stop chasing a single number and start designing a system that can hold up in the real world. That's the mindset behind this idea, going beyond the bottle to help you look out. So next time you're heading outdoors, be a lookout. Look at the UV index. Look at the time you're spending outdoors, because what matters is the dose. Remember, here, the cost of being wrong, it's not theoretical. It's cumulative. It's lifelong. It's 2 out of 3. Okay.